Alright, what's up y'all, LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, we're here to ask what point guard build dominated NBA 2K22 Next Gen the most. So, in today's video, you have the present, the past, and low-key the sleeper. I have 3 different builds that we're going to showcase in today's video. We're here to debate which one dominated 2K22 Next Gen the most and which one is dominating it now, and so on and so forth. So I hope y'all enjoy the video. If you do, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on noties, all that good stuff, and like always, try to 1 to 500 likes. So, in today's video, I want to discuss the 5'8" to 5'9" point guards first and foremost. This is the build that I would like to think took over the game earliest in this game's point, honestly, in 2K22 Next Gen, was the 5'8" and 5'9" point guards that had no finishing on their build whatsoever. It had 99 steal, Hall of Fame clamps, still had elite ball handling ability, which was very important when it came to Unpluckable being on Hall of Fame in the area of the game where pickpocket and pluck steals were going crazy. So this is what combated it, and it was by far the best point guard build for months in this game. So we had the 5'8", 155, 5'11" on the wingspan. What this build allowed you to do is have 99 three-pointer, again 99 ball handle with very close to max speed with ball. If you wanted to go even lower on the weight or something like that and at the expense of perimeter defense, you absolutely could, and have 99 speed with ball and 99 acceleration. But this right here, in my opinion, was by far the best one at the fact that it was so versatile and it was so elite on defense for no reason at all. Obviously, as you would think of a 5'8" point guard, you would think they're supposed to struggle extremely bad on defense, but what kept them alive so much is their off-ball defensive ability. So pretty much from season 2 to season 4, I would like to think passing lanes were at an elite level. Like, it was allowing you to pretty much just hold your LT button and just get automatic steals. And not only that, but also they were just extremely overpowered when it came to just tapping your X button and getting steals as well. So overall, what that did for this build was it allowed you to kind of hide yourself on defense. You could, yes, be a defensive liability at how tall you are, but if they can't get the ball to the guy that's trying to expose you, then they really can't do anything. And if it's at the expense of constantly turning the ball over at the fact of them trying to baby you, it's not worth it. So overall, the 99 steal rating with the Hall of Fame interceptor and just crazy thresholds on this steal rating went insane. And then on top of that too, a build with 98 speed and 94 perimeter defense with Hall of Fame clamps and every on-ball defensive badge on Hall of Fame, and you could get menace on most builds as well if you created like this, but pretty much every single Hall of Fame defensive badge equipped when it comes to on-ball defense. It was hard to score on these from 3. So anyway, as you go down the list, like I said, this build is literally just a speed demon, 3-point shooting beast, and really had everything that you wanted when it comes to playmaking and shooting. Now, it did lack driving dunk, but here's the thing. When the left-right movement, and just, we call it like zigzagging, I guess, to an extent, but it was long sprints essentially of going left to right to left to right, and that was also patched eventually. So this build definitely got patched like 3 times. And the glaring patch that happened to this build was essentially the fact that it was harder to go with that left-right movement when it comes to being a point guard. So what that forced people to do a little bit more is actually take the drive when it's there. Now, when that wasn't the case and you could just go ahead and just constantly go left-right movement, it was so much easier to just play with no driving dunk. Essentially, at that point, you were moving so horizontal that it was easy to get your bigs open on slips, because the more horizontal movement you do, the more it forces 2 defenders to kind of have to guard you. Not to mention, it's just so hard to guard with 1 person, especially through screens as well. So, long story short, you didn't have to have driving dunk on your build at all, whether it was Pro-Am, 3v3, 2v2, anything like that. It was just dudes constantly hawking 3-pointers and quick stops for that matter. Then they even made fading overpowered, which is now translated into today's game, but you don't need quite as much speed with ball or acceleration in today's game to be a constant point guard, at least if you ask me. But anyway, like I said, mid-range, plenty doable. The fact that you don't have anything in the finishing was also plenty doable at the time, not anymore if you ask me, but it also can still be done in some situations if you play with an inside big man on your team, because then at that point you could still kind of play and emulate the same way that it was in season 1 and season 2, stuff like that. But anyway, again, free throw, doable, pass accuracy, we all know everything about this build is pretty detailed and good when it comes to anything you need to be good at. And again, I mean, the only thing it's lacking in is rebounding, interior defending, and then interior scoring. Other than that, it's literally a perfect build, and that's what was so toxic about this for the whole majority of the year. So anyway, the takeovers that you would run in that situation at that point in time were probably just double limitless range. I think nowadays, though, this build would best be used if you use pull-up precision, because again, the more that you can kind of hinge on those fadeaways and stuff like that to carry you in the absence of your driving ability is really important, because that is what you're going to have to resort to get open in some situations. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's impossible to quick stop anymore. It's still plenty doable, and you can definitely hit contested shots while doing so as well, but anyway, I mean, takeover options, it's going to be something between the shooting. If you wanted to rock with one of the playmaking takeovers, it could be pretty doable as well. But anyway, moving along to the modern point guard. Now it's very similar, it is very, very similar, but like I said, some of the deficiencies of the old game, if you will, or the old style earlier in the game, it definitely translates to this build right here and shines in a better way. So we have the 5'10" with the 150 on the weight, 6-foot wingspan. It's gonna be slight body shape, and I want to explain this too. This is gonna be lower on the weight in order to get you more speed with ball and more acceleration. Now I do understand, yes, if you compare it to the 5'8", it doesn't have quite as much speed with ball or anything like that. But one thing to talk about with the small point guards now, with the 5'7s and the 5'8s and the 5'9s, they kind of get shot over really easily. And another aspect of these builds nowadays that have the good driving dunk on them, around 65 or 75, something like that, it actually allows you to have some vertical as well, which is very important in getting the jump contest. As in, if you're maybe playing the corner when it comes to Pro-Am or something like that, or even for that matter, playing on-ball defense, if you have 25 vertical, you feel it. You absolutely cannot jump at people. You can't jump to get contest. With this right here at 55, it's very doable. You can definitely get decent contest with it, and it makes up for the lack of perimeter defense. I think 76 perimeter D was a perfectly fine threshold to reach for most of these builds. Generally, people play corner defense with this when it comes to Pro-Am. You can still play on-ball D with these though, 100%. Even if it doesn't have super elite speed, even if it doesn't have super elite perimeter defense, you still are a pretty like-minded defensive player that can still guard the perimeter, pretty doable. And 90 steal is a perfectly fine threshold to reach as well. Hall of Fame interceptor now still gets the job done. I think, like I said, before patch and just way back in the day, 99 steal shined. It went crazy, bro, on the passing lanes and the pluck steals and stuff like that. But anyway, again, this build, it pretty much just gets you a little bit more height than the 5'8" had. It gives you the driving ability of having the 75 with the quick drops off one, silver limitless takeoff. It's everything you needed when it comes to the driving aspect for dunking open and avoiding chase downs of that matter. But anyway, still 99 three-pointer. We don't really need Hall of Fame unpuckable anymore these days. 93 pretty much gets the job done on everything. AK has told me, the point guard that I play with on Pro-Am, that the higher your ball handle, the more you get tight handle stuns though. So just keep that in mind. But again, a lot of the meta heads when it comes to the Pro-Am aspect of things, and even Stage, they're rocking out with 93 ball handle builds. It's pretty much just to get all the key essential playmaking badges like handles for days, quick chain, maybe hyperdrive. Not everybody runs it, but it's still nice to have the option to. But again, the only thing that anything higher than 93 will get you is literally just ankle breaker and unpluckable. That's it. And at this rate, pluck steals aren't very good, so you don't really need a Hall of Fame unpluckable anymore. So this build, like I said, is the one that I feel like has ruled the game for the last month or two, I would say, where again, you need the driving dunk at the expense of not being able to left right quite as much and just hit all the long run sprints, etc., and it doesn't need exactly as much defensive ability. As far as the physicals though, I don't really think 91 speed hurts that bad, especially for Pro-Am. If you're planning to play on-ball defense in the Stage though or something like that, 91 speed may hurt you. You could probably go with something like 65 driving dunk, drop your vertical and driving layup a little bit with that too, and then end up with 94 speed, 95, something like that. It'd be very doable. But anyway, again, the 5'10", this is the build that in my opinion has ruled the game for the last couple of months at the point guard position. So with the takeovers, I like to think that limitless range and team takeover boost could be pretty fire. I think low-key, if you did this though, you may want to actually run team takeover as the primary. And this is a hard thing to explain to the average viewer that maybe isn't watching the gameplay or anything like that. But if you guys have seen this in action with some of the Pro-Am videos we've been doing with Nut, when this right here gets activated, it is crazy how much it boosts the rest of your team's takeover progress while you have yours on. It's insane. If you are a point guard or a shooting guard that wants to try this sometime, I highly advocate for you to do so. But anyway, let's talk about one of the sleeper builds, one that's been kind of a constant throughout the whole course of the year, the 6'5" point guard. Now, mind you, we're going to do this one as the wingspan glitch. It is the metric build that maybe has taken over a little bit more recently. Obviously, things like the wingspan glitch and just the metric glitches in general weren't really known earlier in the year, so nothing like this ever came out. But what this build allows you to do is it allows you to have some of the really key essential shooting and playmaking badges because you are still technically 6'4"3/4. So some of the animations are height capped, some of the badges are height capped, and most of them are height capped exactly at 6'5". So essentially what this build allows you to do is you have a lot of different ways you can create it. It's going to be a really hard one to put everything on. You're going to see that we lack speed, especially on the way that I created this one right here, because I wanted to be more of a point guard. I'll just put it like that. But if you wanted to play with this as a lockdown of some sort, you could go ahead and just maybe cut out a little bit of three-pointer, a little bit of the playmaking on your build, and maybe a little bit of the finishing. Go with something like 65 like what I have right here. But anyway, as you can see, this build is very versatile. I mean, you got 95 3-pointers still. Like I said, you can maybe knock this down to like 93, 91 if you would like to, but that's kind of the whole point of the wingspan glitch, is to be able to get 95. You get Hall of Fame stop and pop with this, and just in general, a really reliable 3-pointer. With the way that I have this upgraded, 65 driving dunk, 92 ball handle, 90 speed with ball, 85 perimeter defense for gold clamps, and 90 steal rating as well. You have maxed out acceleration, essentially, where it's going to help you just as a ball handler. The speed is a little bit low. I will give you that 100%. And to talk about what this build was good for, I want to maybe explain it in the sense of before patch or way back in the day. So really, what people were doing for a little bit of the year was with their 6'5", they were able to bring this in as a lockdown of some sort and actually have something like this right here, where you went a little bit more hard when it comes to the physicals and the defense, etc., etc. You could actually go with your block rating as well, get bronze chase down, bronze intimidator. Technically, with a default 6'5", you actually would have rim protector as well, so that is one of the negatives of making the wingspan glitch one that is technically 6'4" and 3/4. But anyway, I just wanted to group like this build in this glitch metric one right here with the regular 6'5", because I think they're both relatively kind of the same build, but it's just a little bit different in a sense. But anyway, again, if you want to go with like 65 driving dunk, I think that's a really solid threshold to reach just for quick drops off one to be unlocked at that sense. And again, I mean, this build was really, really elite when it comes to being a swing build, where it could be something that plays the 2 in the park. It could still be something that plays the 1, especially on 2v2. It could still play the 1 on 3v3 for that matter. And I think it's a really good shooting guard build when it comes to the Pro-Am, and that's what it definitely ruled as. But it was more of a sleeper build for people who don't like running with those smaller PGs. I think 6'5" dominated this year. And in a couple days when we talk about the lockdown build, what lockdown build ruled 2K22 Next Gen, I gotta say, the 6'5" really were the thing when it came to early in the game. It was what allowed you to have really good speed, still keep up with the smaller guards, yet still provide something to your offense as well, like what this build would do right here. So again, you could just put whatever's remaining into the dunking ability. You could take away from something like 3-pointer, put it, like I said, to 93. Again, that is kind of the whole point though of doing the wingspan glitch, but either way, my whole point was to just talk about the 6'5" in general, whether it was pre-patch or after patch, the default 6'5" or the metric 6'5", whatever the case may be. So anyway, to recap a little bit, again, the 5'8" absolutely dominated the year, and I would like to think that this was the point guard that dominated 2K22 Next Gen the most. Now, it's hard to kind of say that these days because a build like this doesn't shine anymore, so I would like to remind people to maybe not be prisoners of the moment or prisoners of the present, if you will, and not forget how much this build literally dominated the game and how much it completely just changed the game in general. So, again, 5'8", they really, really dominated early on. The 5'10s with the driving dunk and stuff like that, and a little bit less defensive focused with the lower perimeter defense, lower steal, stuff like that, lower speed as well. This one right here is now the offensive beast that you see in Comp Pro-Am constantly, whether it be a 5'9" or a 5'10". Long story short, you have to have driving dunk on the build now, and they don't focus quite as much on defense when it comes to maxing your steal, maxing your perimeter defense, stuff like that. It's literally as simple as that. So long story short, the 5'10s and 5'9s, 5'8s have literally ruled the game all year. It's in a little bit of a different aspect as the game has kind of evolved a little bit. And then, like I said, the sleeper, 6'5", I really like the idea of this build being a kind of swing build that could play anything when it comes to park. It was really good on the 2v2, 3v3. It fits in really good at the shooting guard position in Pro-Am, and it's low-key a little bit of a sleeper when it comes to PG and Pro-Am. I don't think people really do it, but you could see something like this in maybe Ranked or Rec Center or something like that, because in Rec, you're going to have to match up with other teams' PGs as well. So if you're lined up at the 1, you're going to be going at their PGs and be guarding them as well. So anyway, that's all for the video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, sub if you're new, tell them noties, all good stuff. And like always, try to win to 500 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put your favorite guard build in the comments to support. You can go ahead and put 6'5", you could put 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", whatever you want to do. Feel free to just leave the support that you made it to the end of the video. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed. We are going to get to the lockdown one, like I said, relatively soon. I want to get these out. I think it was a cool little recap thing to be creative with, and I saw a couple people hating on this in the comments in the last video of the center one, but I feel like this is very different than any of the content that I've done throughout the course of the year. They're pretty much saying this is like a copy and paste, like, oh, we've seen this build, we've seen this video like 6 times. Well, again, this is a recap video. It's me kind of debating and just kind of talking about the past of the game and how it evolved and what we saw differently throughout the course of the game and which build, at the end of the day, dominated 2K22 Next Gen the most. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoy the series. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you are, or feel free to let me know if you aren't and then you don't really want to see this very much more. I'll probably only have one more video anyway though when it comes to the lockdown one, so just stick it out. We'll probably get back to the Pro-Am pretty soon. And then other than that, I'll try and get some creative content out here for you guys pretty soon. I have some cool ideas. It just is going to take a little bit of time. This is going to be one of the videos that actually requires probably like multiple days for me to just prep and actually like think about, because it is some creative stuff 100%. I think some people will like the idea of it. No spoilers, we'll talk about that when the time comes. But anyway, hope y'all enjoyed the video. And then that, take it easy, man. Peace.